This is lesson 713, insects. We're on page 264, and this is for 4th grade math. So this lesson actually takes place not only on 264, but also 265, and I'm going to jump forward to page 266. And this actually even carries on to 267 as well. Okay, for this lesson, you will need a ruler or a protractor. I know my class, most of them should have been able to pick up a protractor. So for the measurements we're doing today, a protractor works just fine. Anything that has inches and all of this little bit of data beneath the inches. So you'll notice on page 266 that they're going to want us to record the length of all of these different insects shown on 264, 265, like the paper wasp or the Carolina mantid or the yellow bumblebee even. However, they're very specific about how they want their measurements recorded. You'll notice it says to the nearest 1/8 inch or 1/8 of an inch. And I'm going to show you where to find the 1/8 of an inch on your ruler or protractor. So it's going to use a lined piece of paper, but I think it's going to show up a lot better on a blank piece of paper. So an 1/8 of an inch basically just means literally breaking up an inch into 8 pieces and just one of those pieces. Can't tell if I have a mark on my protractor or something's underneath it. I think it's just how it is. So we're going to take it step by step. First, I'm going to record an inch, which I'm going to start from 0, which is not shown, right over to 1. So what I've just drawn is an inch. Now, if you were to break this inch into 2 pieces, first let's hold this firm. Here is the 1 inch mark. You'll notice how this line is a bit long to show 1 inch. I'm going to put one at 0 too. That's pretty long. If we were to break this into 2 pieces, which this line does right here, almost as long as the 2 on the end, that would mean we suddenly have 2 pieces of an inch, which means one side is 1/2 and here's the second half. This shows 1/2 inches. This is 1/2. So off to the side, I'll say pencil will be 1/2. Now, the next question is, what if we take a half, which this is 1/2, and split the 1/2 in half? And you'll notice there's another line that's a little bit shorter than our first one we drew. And there's one here, and we can split this 1/2 in half too. So now I want you to look in how many blocks have we broken 1 inch down into. You'll notice we have 1 piece from here to here, 2 pieces, 3 pieces, 4 pieces. So that means these little guys here represent 1/4 inch or 1/4 of an inch, which I'll make in blue. So every time you go this far, that will be 1/4 of an inch. Here's 2/4, 3/4, 4/4. Let's go one deeper. Let's take the 4ths and split them into half. And you'll notice there's another line that will do that for us. It's a little bit shorter. And now how many pieces of an inch do we actually have? 1 piece from here to here, 2 pieces, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8ths. So purple in this case will represent an 1/8 of an inch. So your 1/8 will be the second shortest line. The shortest, which I won't show you, is going to be a tight squeeze. These smallest ones will be 1/16 of an inch. Okay, so when they say to the nearest 1/8, they mean to the second shortest line that you can see. It's going to be here. This can also be an 1/8. Basically from beginning to 1/8, 1/8, 1/8, eighth, 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 eighth. Okay, so let's take it over and I'll show you guys an example. Let's start with a green lace wing. And you'll notice, I wonder if they give us any details about measuring the bodies. I don't think we're measuring wings. So you'll notice for each of these insects that we're really just doing the body. And if there's antenna or otherwise, that's not really making the cut. They actually give you a measuring zone that they want you to cover. So for instance, with the green lace wing, we're not going to cover the wingspan. We're going to cover just the body. So you'll put your ruler right to the beginning of that line. And if you recall, we're going to look at the eighths, which is going to be our second shortest. And I see 1/8 here, and then another bit will take us here to a fourth, which 1/8 plus an 1/8 is a fourth. I see another 1/8, that's 3/4, or excuse me, 3/8, 4/8, and it looks like it's going to be right here at about 5/8. Okay, so remember this shows us how big an 1/8 of an inch is, and then every time we travel that distance, it's going to be another 1/8, another 1/8, another 1/8, and another 1/8. Okay, so that shows us 5/8. So what you'll do is you'll find your green lace wing, zoom back out, and where are you, green lace wing? Right here. And you'll just say 5/8 of an inch. I don't know why I put a period after inch. It's not abbreviated. Okay, so you're going to follow the same pattern for the rest of these insects. And personally, I think I would break this project up into multiple days. I think on my schedule I did. It's going to take a little bit of time. Before I let you loose, I did want to talk about how to plot this at the bottom. And it tells us to plot the data set on the line plot and be sure to include a title and a label. So this is where you're going to put your title for your line plot. And the title is just really, it's telling us what you're doing. What is the whole point? What are we covering? And in this case, we're covering like insect length. So that would be a totally acceptable title in this case. Now, underneath, we have a label. And the label is just going to tell us what's not the topic. You know, we already know that it's going to be insect length, but what's our unit of measure? What are we doing? And in that case, I will go ahead and write that in for you guys. We're measuring by inches, right? So it's the length in inches. And the trickiest part, well, I don't want to say the number one trickiest part, but this could be, is going to be figuring out what each of these spots on your plot line actually represent. Like for instance, this is going to be 1 whole inch, 2 inches, 3 inches, 4 inches. And my recommendation to you, and I think just for the sake of helping you out, my recommendation is to start with the lowest or the shortest length you have, and then put your biggest length, hopefully on this side. Hopefully it works out. I think they made the line plot perfect so it works for you. And here's my little, I'll throw you a bone. The lowest length that I saw is going to be about 3/8 of an inch. So I would start with 3/8 of an inch here. And then for every new dash, I would just go up by 1/8. So I go 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, and so on. Now, one other thing I'll throw at you. You will get to a point where some insects are longer than an inch. So you'll notice we're going 3, 4, 5, 6, 7/8. For 8/8, that's not really how we're going to measure with a ruler. If 8/8 basically is the same as 1 whole inch. So instead of saying 8/8, let's call this just 1 inch, which means the first eighth after 1 inch is going to be 1 full inch and 1/8. Okay, so that means it'll be 1 full inch and 2/8, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that is a quick rundown on 1/8 of an inch. If you have any other questions, it felt like it came across a little confusing. You can Google or YouTube 1/8 of an inch or how to measure using 1/8 of an inch, and there's other tutorials out there. But hopefully that gave you a quick rundown of what we're doing here, how to label your data, and you're just going to plot your data with, I don't know, X's works here. And then you have some questions to finish on page 267. If you have any questions on the questions, go ahead and leave a comment, send me an email, reach out to me on Class Dojo. It's all good. Otherwise, I will see you for, I think, lesson 8-1. Super. All right, guys.